There is a sound that stops people mid-stride. A melody so pure, so impossibly refined that it seems to bend the very air around it. On the 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica, California, where street performers compete for attention against the Pacific breeze and the chaos of urban life, one sound rises above all others. A violin played by a girl who shouldn't exist. She stands beneath the California sun, blonde hair catching the light, eyes closed in concentration. Her bow moves across strings with surgical precision, transforming pop songs into something transcendent. Around her, crowds gather. Not the polite passing acknowledgement most buskers receive, but genuine crowds. Phones emerge from pockets. Videos begin recording. People stop their entire days to witness something they instinctively recognize as extraordinary. Her name is Karolina Protsenko. She was born in Kiev, Ukrainian, October 3, 2008. By the time she was 10 years old, she had captivated millions. By 13, she had performed on national television, collaborated with America's Got Talent finalists, and amassed a digital empire spanning 3 YouTube channels with combined views exceeding 2 billion. But numbers don't capture what makes Karolina remarkable. Statistics can't explain why grown adults cry watching a teenager play Shape of You on a violin. Data doesn't account for the phenomenon of her presence. The way her performances feel less like entertainment and more like communion. This is the story of how a girl from Ukraine became a global sensation. How classical training met modern pop culture on California sidewalks. How a family of musicians raised a prodigy who chose street corners over concert halls, authenticity over prestige, and how in an age of manufactured celebrity, one young violinist proved that genuine talent still possesses the power to stop the world. Before Santa Monica, before YouTube, before the millions of subscribers and viral videos, there was Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, ancient and beautiful, where Karolina Protsenko entered the world on an autumn day in 2008. Born into a family where music wasn't a hobby, but a language. Her father, Nikolai Protsenko, was an accomplished musician. Her mother, Ella, the same. In their home, guitars spoke in the evening hours. Piano melodies drifted through doorways. Music wasn't something you listened to. It was something you lived. Karolina didn't choose music. Music chose her. From her earliest memories, she was surrounded by instruments, by harmony, by the physics of sound made beautiful through human hands. Her parents didn't force her toward any particular path, but they created an environment where musical excellence was simply the air everyone breathed. She had 2 younger brothers who would grow up in the same sonic atmosphere, contributing to what would become a household orchestra. But even among this talented family, Karolina possessed something different. Not just aptitude, not merely skill, something more ineffable, an instinct for melody, for emotional translation through bow and string. By age 6, she had begun formal violin lessons in Kiev. Her teachers immediately recognized unusual potential, perfect pitch, extraordinary muscle memory, an almost supernatural ability to hear a piece once and reproduce it with minimal practice. Viewed in 2015, everything changed. The Protsenko family made a decision that would alter Karolina's trajectory forever. They would leave Ukraine for the United States. The reasons were complex. Economic opportunity, political instability, the universal immigrant dream of better lives for their children. They chose California, specifically the Semi-Valley region north of Los Angeles. Karolina was 7 years old. She spoke minimal English. She knew nothing about American culture, American music, or the strange hybrid art form that was American street performance. She brought one thing with her across the ocean, her violin. Smile Valley, California, sits in the shadow of the Santa Susana Mountains, a suburban sprawl of approximately 125,000 people northwest of Los Angeles. It's known for family-friendly neighborhoods, good schools, and being the location of the Reagan Presidential Library. It is not known for producing viral musical sensations. The Protsenko family settled there in 2015 and Karolina faced the challenge every immigrant child confronts. Adaptation, new language, new school, new everything. Music became her anchor, her constant, her way of maintaining identity while building a new one. Her parents, understanding the importance of continuing her training, sought out the best local instruction. They found Mr. Sam Pfizer, a violin instructor who would become pivotal to Karolina's development. Under Fisher's guidance, Karolina received rigorous classical training. She learned proper technique, the exact angle of the bow, the precise pressure of fingers on strings, the mathematical relationship between position and pitch. She mastered fundamental concepts, scales, arpeggios, vibrato, shifting. She built a foundation in the classical repertoire, Bach, Vivaldi, Mozart, Beethoven. The training was traditional, disciplined, demanding, but Karolina's musical curiosity extended far beyond the classical canon. Growing up in the age of Spotify and YouTube, she listened to everything: pop, rock, electronic, hip-hop. She heard Ed Sheeran's Shape of You and wondered how it would sound on violin. She heard Post Malone's Sunflower and imagined translating those melodies into classical instrumentation. Her parents noticed her experimentation. Rather than discourage it, they encouraged exploration. Music, they believed, was universal. Why confine their daughter's talent to repertoire composed centuries ago when she could speak to her own generation? Then came the idea that would change everything. In 2017, Ella suggested they visit the 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica, a pedestrian mall famous for street performers, tourists, and the casual chaos of Southern California culture. Karolina brought her violin. The plan was simple. Play for tips, gain performance experience, overcome stage fright. No one anticipated what would happen next. The 3rd Street Promenade is 3 blocks of outdoor shopping and entertainment closed to vehicle traffic open to the sky. On any given day, you'll find acrobats, magicians, musicians, living statues, and artists of every conceivable variety competing for tourist attention and tip jar dollars. When 9-year-old Karolina first set up her small amplifier and music stand, she was one performer among dozens. Nothing about her suggested she would dominate this space. Then she began to play. Her first song was a violin cover of My Heart Will Go On. The Titanic theme that everyone recognized instantly. Passers-by slowed, then stopped. Within minutes, a crowd had formed. Not the casual cluster that might watch a performer for 30 seconds before moving on, but a genuine audience. People pulled out phones. The videos began. What made Karolina different from other street musicians wasn't just technical proficiency, though her playing was flawless. It was her presence. The way she closed her eyes and seemed to disappear into the music. The unconscious sway of her body, feeling rhythm in ways that transcended mere counting. The smile that appeared when she hit particularly challenging passages, as if playing brought her pure joy. She was a child prodigy who hadn't yet learned to be self-conscious, a virtuoso. Optimizing audio quality, adding professional titles and descriptions. They uploaded videos consistently, understanding that YouTube's algorithm favored channels that posted regularly. But they made a crucial decision that separated Karolina from typical content creators. They maintained 3 separate channels. The first, her main channel, focused exclusively on violin covers, pop songs transformed into classical performances. Current hits reimagined through strings. This became her flagship, the channel that would eventually accumulate over 8 million subscribers. The second channel featured her singing voice. Karolina possessed not just violin talent but vocal ability, and her parents recognized the value in showcasing her full range of musical skills. The third channel was dedicated to vlogs, behind-scenes content, day-in-the-life videos, glimpses into her life beyond performance. This created intimacy with fans, transforming her from distant prodigy into someone relatable, someone audiences felt they knew. The strategy was sophisticated, almost corporate in its execution, yet it never felt manufactured. Karolina remained herself, genuine, enthusiastic, clearly in love with music. Her joy wasn't feigned, her talent undeniable. Her catalog grew rapidly. Shape of You by Ed Sheeran. Dance Monkey by Tones and iMemories by Maroon 5. Shallow from Asta Is Born. Believer by Imagine Dragons. Someone You Loved by Luis Capaldi. Every major pop hit from 2017 onward received the Protsenko treatment, violin virtuosity meeting accessibility. By 2018, her videos averaged 30 million views each. Her combined YouTube presence had generated over 2 billion views. She had expanded beyond YouTube, Instagram, 2 million followers, Facebook, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music. She had become improbably a multimedia empire built on the foundation of a Ukrainian girl and her violin standing in California pavement. Every young performer dreams of validation from established figures. For Karolina, that moment arrived in 2019 when she received an invitation that felt impossible. Perform on the Ellen DeGeneres Show. Ellen, who had built a career on celebrating unique talents and heartwarming stories, had discovered Karolina's street performances. The producers reached out. Would she like to appear on national television? Karolina was 11 years old. She said yes. The segment was quintessentially Ellen, warm, surprising, emotionally manipulative in the best possible way. Karolina performed a violin cover of Post Malone's Sunflower, and the studio audience responded with the same awe visible in her promenade crowds. The camera captured her concentration, her technical mastery, her sheer love of performance. When she finished, Ellen interviewed her. The conversation revealed Karolina's personality, shy but articulate, humble but confident in her abilities. She mentioned that she had been saving tip jar money to buy a puppy, a detail that humanized the prodigy, reminding everyone that behind the extraordinary talent was a normal kid with normal desires. Ellen, of course, had plans. First, she surprised Karolina with a custom-made blue violin, a professional-grade instrument in Karolina's favorite color. Then she presented her with a specialist tip jar for busking. And finally, the moment that went viral. Ellen filled the tip jar with cash. A lot of cash, accelerating Karolina's puppy fun significantly. The audience erupted. Karolina cried. The segment became one of the show's most watched of the year. But more importantly, the appearance validated Karolina's approach. She hadn't pursued traditional paths, conservatory auditions, competition circuits, orchestral positions. She had chosen the street, chosen YouTube, chosen direct connection with audiences over institutional gatekeeping. And Ellen, establishment entertainment personified, was telling her she'd made the right choice. As Karolina's fame grew, opportunities emerged to collaborate with other young musical prodigies. These partnerships revealed dimensions of her artistry that solo performances couldn't capture. Her ability to harmonize, to support rather than dominate, to create something greater than the sum of individual talents. The most significant collaboration came in 2020 when Karolina partnered with Angelica Hale, the then 10-year-old singer who had finished second on America's Got Talent Season 12. Angelica possessed a voice that seemed impossible for her age. Powerful, controlled, emotionally sophisticated, together, they performed Symphony by Clean Bandit and Zara Larsson. The performance was magic. Angelica's vocals soared while Karolina's violin wove intricate melodic patterns beneath and around the voice. Neither competed for dominance. Instead, they created genuine musical conversation. You could see their joy, not just in performing, but in performing together, in discovering the pleasure of collaboration. The video garnered tens of millions of views, comments flooded in from viewers moved by witnessing two young women at the peak of their respective talents, creating something beautiful. It was a masterclass in musical partnership. Karolina also collaborated with Daniele Vitali, an Italian saxophonist who had similarly built a following through street performances and social media. Their joint performances blended violin and saxophone in ways that honored both jazz and classical traditions while remaining accessible to pop audiences. These collaborations serve strategic purposes, cross-pollinating audiences, expanding Karolina's stylistic range, but they also fulfilled artistic needs. Music at its core is communal. Playing alone is practice. Playing together